Debbie said, Michael, row your boat ashore, hallelujah. Michael, row your boat ashore, hallelujah. We just can't, I mean, Mike is just smiling all over this, though he is bedeviling it as well by sending the wind and blowing everything over. That would be just his idea of a practical joke. So my name is Gwen, Gwen Hughes. I met Mike and many of you on a gig. I'm a musician, and I did a cruise for 2 really horrible weeks on the big red boat in 1993. And that's when I met Mike. And he seemed to like the big red boat, but really. And we stayed friends. Since then, I played for his sister's wedding with our band, and met so many of you guys coming out to like Rays on the River and places that we would play, and go back so far because of that. So we want to open it up to everybody to say something and share a remembrance of Mike, because this is our way. We have people who've come from Florida. A woman from Uruguay was here. His Russian friends, people from all over are here to share remembrance, because we're trying to get closure on this just really strange thing that happened, and yet at the same time we should all go out the way he did. Doing an amazing thing, and I think that's what it's about. So I wrote a song, and I tried to think about what Mike was to me, and the 3 words that came to mind were humble, quiet, and fearless. And the fearless thing, and restless, very restless. So this is a song about that. And my keyboard's very cheap. Staying still for long was not your favorite thing to do. You always had another mountain to ascend, daring you to climb, feel your wings unwind. You always said you'd be leaving, but you never told us when. How does it feel to fly? Is that you up there leaning towards the sky? A road uncharted, and you departed, soaring someplace better to begin again. Did I really know you across the oceans and years? You built a friendship despite, well, me. Believing I could climb, helping me unwind. The adventure was just starting and never has to end. How does it feel to fly? Is that you up there leaning towards the sky? A road uncharted, and you departed, soaring someplace better to begin again. I said move, and the way will open. I said move, move, oh, move. How does it feel to fly? Is that you up there leaning towards the sky? A road uncharted. How does it feel to fly? Is it okay if we're not ready to say goodbye? And I think we're going to have, thank you, we're going to have Debbie come up and say a few words.
Hi everyone. Okay, it's on. Hi everyone. So Gwen, that was so gorgeous. I thought we were all going to come here and tell great stories, and you sang the song. It was so beautiful. Mike would be so touched seeing all of you here today. This is exactly what he always wanted. His friends from every part of his life gathering, meeting each other, becoming friends. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here and for making this a priority for your Saturday morning. I know a lot of you haven't known each other, and now you're sitting with people who share birthdays and share memories, and it's really beautiful to see. And I just thank you for those who came from far, such as Florida, and from near, such as Roswell, for being here and for coming out. And hopefully this won't be the last time we see all of you, maybe not in the same room, but maybe at other times. Those of you who had a chance to meet Mike's parents and sister over the past couple years, or even the past week when they were in town, thank you for your love and support. Those who want to continue expressing what Mike meant to you, of course you may write letters to his parents. I'm sure they would love it. Everyone has the Evite, and their address is on the Evite, so you can do that. A lot of you want to speak today. A lot of you haven't said you're ready to speak, but those who want to, we welcome it. We welcome your stories and your funny stories. And I just want to say thank you again for being here.
Yay.
So that was a beautiful tribute from both ladies, and it's a beautiful tribute to Mike's memory, which is a blessing to see so many faces from so many reaches. You know, I love that Gwen associated some adjectives with Mike, which immediately made me think of some as well. I'm Emily. I met Mike through Debbie, I don't know, 2005, 2006 at some point, but he was a dear soul to know, and when I think about him, you know, we played games together. He came over for holidays at our house. He actually worked close to me at one point, and we had lunch a lot together, and he had this determined spirit. He was also so optimistic. The guy had the best smile. Handsome guy, you know, but just radiated that smile and had such a good attitude. And I mean, the other adjectives are right on point. Brave and, you know, willing to do anything. And while he has, you know, left us too soon, what I would say is, as I think maybe Gwen said, that's the way to go. He was not sitting at his desk in a job that didn't make him happy. He just finished hiking an amazing trail, and he lived his life to the fullest. So, you know, I don't know that I have much more to add other than his memory is a blessing. He's touched all of us, and, you know, we will miss him, but he will continue to live on through all of us. So.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Everyone has their name tags on, and raise your hand if you met Mike hiking Anyone? Awesome. Did you go to the beach or the mountains with him? Kayaking? Spanish lessons? Hikes with Russians? Yes, swing dancing, salsa dancing, awesome. Those were just a few of Mike's favorite things. I'm Rachel Tobin, and I, like you, am a friend of Mike's. And I'm a writer, so I'm going to read my remarks. It's easier for me. I met Mike through Debbie. He came to a 4th of July party. Debbie and I live in the same condo building. And he played volleyball with me, and I think I did all of those different activities with him. I was privileged to work with Debbie, Gwen, Kate, and many others today to put this on. And I specifically was in charge of the slideshow, which is on the back table if you haven't seen it. Reflecting on these 331 images, a reflection of Mike's life, passions, friends, and pastimes, there's not one picture in which Mike doesn't seem fully present and engaged, right? With that signature mischievous sparkle in his eye. Mike was the kind of person who would do things, especially if they were hard for him. An engineer by training, he painstakingly labored to learn the Spanish language. And despite it being hard for him, he took classes and could be found most Sundays in Golden Drops Cafe on Claremont Road doing his homework. He was the kind of person who didn't do things because they were effortless, but because they were hard. Reflecting on his life, his pictures, his friends, Mike is a teacher to all of us, in his life as in his death. So the lesson from the first one is do it anyway, especially when it's hard. He labored away at swing dancing and salsa dancing, even if his rhythm wasn't quite perfect. But he was fun to dance with because he was engaged in every beat, and he would look at you in the eye, he would smile at you. So the lesson is be engaged in every beat. He was the kind of person who could host a Latke's candle lighting and no more roommate party. The lesson, don't live with a bad roommate, and definitely celebrate when they move out and cook latkes for your friends. He was the kind of person who would organize hikes for the Russians and then invite everyone else to join in. The lesson, definitely go on hikes with Russians if you ever get the chance. But the real lesson is to open your doors to many people in your life. And Mike is a teacher, especially in his death. He took a job he didn't quite love, and after about 2 years of that, he was over it, and he listened to his inner wisdom that told him he had a big adventure ahead. It would include training, weighing his gear to the ounce, simplifying and downsizing his life, bringing along his sister Lori, and it would engage all of us as his friends as he planned to do this, and we cheered him on. Downsizing and simplifying, by the way, were two character traits of Mike. He got his MBA at UGA's Terry College of Business and paid it off in 2 years. High five.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I doubt Mike knew this was his final adventure, but inside of him you could see this if you saw him before he left. He really wanted to hustle and get it done. He knew time was of the essence. His spirit, always full of wanderlust, sparked an urgency in him to get on the path and finish the Camino del Santiago de Compostela, which, by the way, it's called the Way of St. James, is a large, smile, is a large network of ancient pilgrim routes stretching across Europe and coming together at the tomb of St. James in northwest Spain. For centuries, people have been hiking these paths as part of their special spiritual quest. The pilgrimage dates back to the beginning of the 9th century and has always been a journey of discovery for countless people. If you followed along in his Facebook account, you learned about this long walk. He completed 446 miles in 28 days and was then scheduled to do another 55 miles. It's exactly the kind of adventure Mike would engineer, touching all his sweet spots, traveling on foot to a new town every day, meeting new people along the way, trying new food, and testing his Spanish, his wits, and his strength. He was a lover of the human race. Look at the diversity here today, in his photos, in his friends. For a guy raised in a small southern town, he really knew how to bring the world to his doorstep. Both of us, and by the way, Summer too, were born on Valentine's Day. A day none of us adore. We call it the Bad Birthday Club. Um, and it made me feel, however, with Mike, and I also love to travel, that we were kindred spirits. My final memory of him was hiking 6 miles along the Chattahoochee, and for at least half of that walk, we spoke only in Spanish. And we tried to get him to remember words like cebolla versus caballo, and which is onion or horse, and we made up really silly songs to remember it, and we imagined him being made fun of by Spaniards along the road. So anyway, but when you look around, you realize that the lesson in that is that I'm not his only kindred spirit. We are all kindred spirits with Mike, and that was really part of his magic and his special sauce. So thank you to Mike for being our great teacher in your life as well as your death. Thank you for holding off Heather. And we made it through this. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for being here.
It's pretty freeform.
Speak right into it.
Hi there, I'm Tracy. I am Mike's neighbor, and I met Mike. We actually moved in right around the same time, but didn't really know each other around the neighborhood, honestly, until Lauren moved in, and was like, oh, that guy, he works with me, and I'm like, oh, cool. So anyway, we got to hanging out, and just really found out quickly how wonderful and how nice of a guy he was, and he also was just such a great neighbor and always willing to help me anytime. I have a dog, Sadie, and he always wanted a dog, so I just was like, hey, you're more than welcome to come over and hang out with Sadie. And he did. He would call me or text and be like, hey, can I come over and walk Sadie? Who does that? Nobody wants to come over and walk someone else's dog usually. But I mean, Mike, was just that kind of person. So yeah, I definitely. And so I had the opportunity to meet his parents and his sister this week, and saw his parents this morning, and kind of helped them with their going through and loading up car and stuff. And they definitely sent all their love and wish they could have been here, but just knew it was going to be too hard. But anyway, this is just a very special person, and he's going to be dearly missed.
Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. You don't have to wait for me to call you up. Ditty? Did I say that right? And speak right into the mic.
So I am a neighbor of Mike as well, and I met him when I first moved to Atlanta with Frederick at a tag meeting. And I didn't actually know where he lived, and I saw this guy walking to the trash, and I'm like, oh, that's Mike. He lives in the same neighborhood as me. So from there, I have so many memories of him. Mike was like a big brother to me. One of the things that was mentioned, he was just a very caring person. He always would think about other people and their needs. As Tracy was talking about with her dog, he would go to the store. I got him on this kombucha kick, and every time he would text me a picture of kombucha. He was like, it's on sale, do you want this kombucha? And so I'm like, sure, Mike. And he's just, he's gonna, really be just a big loss for me in my life. I always wanted a big brother, and he was that big brother for me. He just cared about me so much and my life, and he would take the time with me. Many times I remember just talking to him about my life and my job and what was going on, and he would set his phone aside and look straight at me and just say, Lauren, tell me what's going on in your life. Like, how can I help you? Let me give you advice. And it's going to be a big loss for me. I remember who he was, and that makes me just want to be a better person. And then I introduced him to Deep Tea, and Deep Tea and I worked together, and he just took her right in as another sister. So it's
Yeah, I met Mike through Lauren, and he was such a warm, kind person always. Very funny guy, very, really funny. And we met only this July, and he was telling me about the movie that inspired him to go on this trail and hike. He was so excited to take this trip. I'm so glad he was able to do it, and he used to share pictures with us as he went through the trail. But he just made me feel at home, even though I'm from another country and moved in like 4 years ago. Meeting him, I never felt out of place. He was so comfortable, made me feel at home, made me feel like a friend. And then he would invite me to events, we would hang out, and just shocking to know that the person, such a warm, loving person, is now not amongst us. And it hit me really hard when I found out, because we used to hang out every month, go to museums and to events, and he was one person in Atlanta that I had as a friend, and to not have him anymore is hard. Thank you.
I wrote something too, hoping it'll make it a little easier by reading. My name is Michelle, and I met Mike 13 years ago through JJ. Him and Mike went to school together at UCF, University of Central Florida. No matter what we did when we got together with Mike, like going to the beach, going for a bike ride, a hike, or just enjoying each other's company, whether in Atlanta or in Daytona Beach, we always had fun. One of the stories I always laugh about is Mike's barn car. I don't know if you are all aware, but Mike had a purple car years ago, and JJ would tease him about it every single time we got together. Mike was not only a friend, he was family. We would often send each other food and wine, pictures when we found something special, which we got a few of them from Mike on his last trip. I will miss Mike's visits, his fried grits, fried green tomatoes, and homemade biscuits, but most of all, I will miss a true loving friend with an infectious smile. We are all better people because of Mike.
We have to fill in at least 3 more before we hit number 10 for Cindy, so. Thank you.
So I'm Yelena. I'm organizer, Russian speakers in Joint Atlanta group, and I met Mike 10 years ago on his meetup, Mingling in Atlanta, and I invited him to join one of my events. So he came, he enjoyed the company, and actually we became friends instantly because of his open personality, warm heart. And he actually asked me, I would like to be an event organizer for your group, which was, I was very happy about that because his skills and again, his persona. So, and I said, of course, Mike, you are always welcome, and it's group not for Russian, for everybody who enjoys the culture, the language, people, and different kind of activities. So now in my group, 840 people, and all of them got a chance to meet Mike because he was organizer kayaking and hiking trips, and we traveled to Florida together, and we deeply miss him. And if you go to the meetup, you can see how many notes people posted and appreciated, how many people's soul he touched. So mostly everybody said very nice things about him, but he is really caring person. I was very impressed, like when he organized event, he would mention what time to come, what time we are leaving, what time we are eating, what shoes to wear, what cream to bring, how many bottles of water, how deep is the water, how sun is gonna be bright, And the joke was like, it was actually very true. Anytime when he organized, even forecast like 40%, 60% rain, but it's never appeared. On this his hike, when he organized, it was always fun, sunny, bright day. And we were lucky to have him in my group, in our group. Thank you.
I hate to bring this up, but there is a police officer who's ticketing those cars that are parked on that line. So he has already hit those people. So if you've parked on the left-hand side,
If they're touching the pavement.
if they're touching the pavement, you're getting a ticket. If they're not touching a pavement, they're not. I'm not sure how this works, people. Reggie, you can cut this part out. I don't want to alarm anybody, but we just noticed it and want you to know so you can move your car. You can even block me in if you want to. Sorry to cause alarm.
We'll take a commercial break here. We pause for station identification.
Exactly. Another song.
So yeah, Mike called me, Miguel called me Kit Kat. There's a guy named Matt Burling. You might know him better as Monkey. He gave everyone nicknames, and he called Mike Miguel, and when Miguel was being good. We had other names otherwise. And he called me Kit Kat. I guess I was always good. Or they at least didn't tell me to my face. So anyway, so yeah, we all met. I realized I had my year wrong. I had 2005. We met in 2004, and probably I think around October 2004, so it's exactly 15 years ago. I just moved back to Atlanta, and so Mike and Matt were like the first friends I really got coming back to Atlanta. So I was very appreciative. Like Mike was always like inviting us to everything, and he was definitely the the party planner and the group coordinator. And someone else said he always had everything aligned. Like we'd go for pumpkin carving, and he'd have all the tools, and his parties were so well planned. And he's very considerate of others, asking, oh, do you have any allergies? Is there anything you don't like? We're having this. Is this okay? Stuff like that. And so I wrote notes. That's how we met. Not immediately, but shortly after meeting him, I met Gwen. And I heard they worked on the cruise together, which was very awesome. So, and then she sang, and I realized I went dancing in 2010. I got back into swing dancing, and she was playing for Georgia Tech, and I said, hey, Mike, we should come swing dancing. So then he actually started going swing dancing.
He did.
Yeah, and
It's pretty funny to watch from the stage.
So if you're wondering what it was like to dance with him, it was amazing because he was smiling and he was always having a good time and he wasn't taking it seriously. And I was like, okay, left, right, one, two, three, everyone's concentrating. You see the other person concentrating. You see Mike going. So my other friends like swing dancing with him too. I was like, what did you think? They're like, it was fun. So definitely missed that, especially dancing to Gwen. So the other cool thing, he said, let's dress up as a pirate and a princess and go to this kids event. And I was like, kids? Crying? Boogers? I don't know, Mike. He goes, oh, you get to wear a princess dress. Okay. So he was like, so we went, and it was totally awesome. It's probably the only time I really felt like a princess. And he was like pretending to be a pirate and like kind of, oh, I'm your pirate to come save you. And we were just kind of acting on stage, and the kids loved him, and the kids loved him. No. And he was just the way he was with the kids, and so entertaining, and so like, and how he inviting is to us. He was inviting to the kids too, and you could just see them smiling back at him. Anyway, and the next thing was job. Like as I said, we worked together. The other thing we did was, I was like, hey Mike, I'm really unhappy at my job. It was Vocalosity at the time. I called him and he goes, I'm at Vision Gaming. You know, we're probably hiring. Why don't I talk to someone and get you an interview next week? And so he, you know, just got me an interview. And I went up there and I said, okay. And then my boss is like, don't leave, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I didn't leave. And then a couple years later, I left and Mike goes, hey, what about Vocalosity? I said, I heard it's better now. And so then he started working at Vocalosity. So then we became, we expanded from just ILC friends to Vocalosity friends and swing dancing. And of course we hung out a lot, you know. He helped me through so many failed relationships, and you know, he's like, oh, who is it this week? You know, like your brother would say, who is it this week? I'm like, so he was very, very comforting, always understanding, and even though he did make fun of me, he was still not really insulting me. And I thought that was just so kind and such a generous person who could do that, and so, you know, emotionally mature. I didn't know that he was how old he was, you know, until recently. So I was like, oh, he's really emotionally mature. So, but anyway, and then he said, hey, I'm going to go back and get my master's, and I said, oh, you're going to go back to school and work? That's crazy. He did it. It was so impressive, and he paid it off, as someone said, in 2 years. Just very, you know, that was a priority to him, and he did it. And he had roommates, and some roommates like Matt Monkey were awesome, and then other roommates, you know, we had to have a party that the roommate was leaving. So, but it was such an honor to be at his graduation with him and his parents, which brings us to the next point. You know, I met his parents, and his parents just instantly, they were so awesome, just like him. They're so loving and so caring. And I remember his mom, he's like, oh, I need to entertain my mom. I was like, let's go to the chocolate bar. And then next time his mom came back and the chocolate bar wasn't there, he's like, oh, the chocolate bar, we missed the chocolate bar. So I'll always remember like his mom and me going to the chocolate bar. Yeah, and it was so nice to just be with his family and him at his graduation, and you know, seeing him, you know, where the big, you know, when you get to the masters and you have the little thing on the piece on the back. And he also met my parents several times. We went to the beach. Actually, I think we went several times to the beach. He cooked. He just always very considerate, always made sure we took the right stuff to the beach, you know. I was like, oh, sunscreen, oh yes, yeah. Sunglasses, oh, that too. So he was, the beach was 6 hours away, so it was no, you know, not just like you get in your car and you go. It was you know, it was a lot of planning, and I'll definitely, you know, miss him. It won't be the same without him there. Another thing he did, you know, he doesn't really like cats. I'm a cat person. He got me this card that said, personal stalker, and it was the cat that such a cat follows you everywhere. And I think one of the nicest things he did is my cat passed away, and I was in no condition to drive my cat to my parents' house 2 hours away. And he goes, well, I'm not working right now, so I'll take you and your cat. I still don't like cats, but I love you. And so he took me to, you know, he took me and my cat and he came to the funeral. He like stood there with us, and it was just so very comforting, and especially knowing he, you know, his dislike for cats. So the next was, oh yeah, sisters, family. His sister, we used to joke that we're gonna conspire against you, because he was always teasing Lori and teasing me, and my sisters were teasing me, and then they were like conspiring to, you know, him and my sister to tease me, and then Lori and I to tease him. And so the next is, you know, everywhere I took him and everywhere he took me, like our friends were always so inviting. He was always so inclusive of everyone and never excluded anyone. And it's really rare to see that these days. And it's really just shows what an awesome person he is, and his consideration and his thoughtfulness, and, you know, seeing someone know, oh, they're not, you know, let's include them. And like, it was just so, you know, always invited to everything. And, you know, I'm sure like everyone, we really miss him. You know, he was on my favorites list. I think I told some of you. It's really, anyway, yeah, he always did what he loved, and I think we should all think about that. He asked me about should I quit my job and go hiking, and I was like, yes. Live life to the fullest. You never know what it holds. Of course, I had no idea it would hold this, but I mean, you just don't know. I was thinking more of a broken leg, and you could never hike again. You could only hike a couple miles, and not but you never know. So I guess do what you love. And okay, thanks.
Hi, my name's Diane, and I'm up here with Caroline because I met Mike through Caroline, and I didn't know him very long, but I got to know him well enough to appreciate the kind of person that he was and what he, we're all like energy, and he had really good, warm, loving energy, and we got to work on putting together a mobile marketing group, and we would have meetings at the Steam House in Midtown, and
Oh, no, she's saying that she can't hear you.
oh, okay. So we would meet at the Steam House, and he did try to be funny. He wasn't really all that funny, but he did try, and I really like that about him. But anyways, the one takeaway for me is I don't think I knew him long enough, but I'm glad I got to meet him, and I want to be like Mike because I want to do what I love doing. We're all going to transition at some point, and let it be when we're living our life to the fullest. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Diane. Hi, my name is Caroline. I met Mike in 2016. We were judging a hackathon that weekend with Janine over there. And we ended up spending the entire weekend together. I think we started Friday night, Friday afternoon till 9 p.m., then the entire day Saturday, which was 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday. And we thought we were done judging at about 10 p.m. on Saturday night. And this was after we had spent the entire weekend together. And then it turned out that, we were in a group of judges. There were 5 judges in that group. It turned out one of us had to come back and judge on Sunday. They had not planned ahead, or we just hadn't thought through the Sunday round of judging. And you know who volunteered to come back and give us his Sunday? Mike. He just selflessly always, so I knew Mike through volunteering in a professional manner, and he was just always so giving, and we love that. So we know Mike through Technology Association of Georgia and the Wireless Technology Forum. So thank you very much.
Traffic jam. Okay.
All right, so we met Mike. Hi, everyone. Let's get closer. This is my sister's Kenya. My name is Kenyette. This is our friend Belinda. And we met Mike. We've known Mike for about 10 years or more. Oh, sorry. I gotta talk right in. Okay. See, I thought I had a loud voice, so I didn't realize.
Right, really right.
Okay. So we've known Mike for about 10 years, and I met him at a Toastmasters meeting. He came up to me and introduced himself, and I'm not the type of person that's like open to being friends with someone right away, but he was just always so giving, and he always included my sister and me, and we just became the best of friends. We were always doing events together with him. We did a lock and key party when he did that. He brought all of these huge locks for the lock and key party. I remember this. And he came over to our apartment, and he was like, okay, you guys are going to have to help us organize this. And so he dumped all these locks out in keys. And so we're like, okay. And so we were just going through each one of them and writing down which key fit with which lock, so that it was just spending time with him. I never realized that Mike had so many friends, because he always made time for us. It was like, he was never too busy. There was always an opportunity to spend time with him. And
I'll just miss that about him. Also, just something to share that we all three did with Mike was we volunteered for the wine auction each year with the High Museum, and that's how we met Debbie, through Mike, because she came out and volunteered with us. And like clockwork, every year, Mike would come out. We didn't even have to ask him. We just knew that he would be there. And he would show up, be ready to volunteer, and he'd stay the whole time, and we would have dinner afterwards. And, you know, that's really something I'm going to miss, because I've basically taken it for granted for the last 6 years that it's always been there. And so I just know next year I'm going to miss him so much. But he was such a good friend, and I will truly miss him.
Hi everybody. As the twins said, I met Mike at the Wine Down. The very first year I met him, I walked into the High Museum. They were having the reception. This was the year that they had the French exhibit. And I walked in kind of intimidated, and he made me his friend. He didn't ignore me. He welcomed me. He started a conversation with me. And I think what we're hearing is that he was like a brother to everybody, and truly, when I talked to him, we connected like he was my brother, like I was his sister. And we talked about family stuff. I saw him this March at the reception, and he mentioned to me about taking the trip and wanting to know my views on going on sabbatical and if he should do it, and even posting it. And I told him to go ahead and do it and enjoy life. You only go around once. And to meet somebody as warm and welcoming as Mike was or is rare. Socioeconomically speaking, to walk into an environment where somebody welcomes you open arms and you kind of like, wow, that was unexpected, it's refreshing. And I'm really going to miss him.
Yeah, I'm a little short. So my name is Cindy Light, and I met Mike from a Roundtable Toastmaster Club. I didn't speak much of English about 13 years ago. I met Mike in 2006. So went to Roundtable Toastmaster. They request somebody speak much better English. So even I met him there, and I was not qualified to join Roundtable Toastmaster. So Mike was the one said, "Oh, I know a best place for you to go is a bucket Toastmaster." So I become Toastmaster member, start to practice speaking English. That's how our friendship started. Then later, Mike hired me as an image consultant. If some of you know Mike longer enough, he had a longer hair, looks like Beethoven, right? Right, he can stretch out really long, it shrinks back, right? So has wild hair when I first met him. So I really suggest him cut his hair. I think it looks better now. Clean cuts, right? So that's how I met Mike, and there are so many wonderful things about Mike, and I can think about my mind goes everywhere. That's why I request number 10, so I can focus on 3 things I want to talk about him. I think he's the best friend or best boyfriend for any woman you can dream about, a great boyfriend. I don't know about you, all single women here. At least I wished for 10 years. He maybe asked me to be a girlfriend. We're a great friend. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I was thinking about everybody else because he's so loved by so many women. I think he just cannot pick and choose. He have to take care of all of us. You got it? So share a story. When I need move out from my place and I had to sell everything, I remember my father was sick. I need to go back to China, so I need to get rid of everything in 10 days. So he's thinking about how can I help you? Sometimes I can help somebody else. And so he said, well, you need a body guy to here because you're selling your stuff to public. So somebody coming could just injure you. So I have a wonderful friend, Elise, right? So she's an army girl. So I'll pay $50. She needs some money. So she'll be here, dress her army uniform to protect you, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is when she saw I had a cat rocks beautifully, she said, you know what? Why don't I buy it, give it to Kitty Cat? So I'm sure Kitty Cat now has my cat rocks, 2 of them green, right? So he's the only one has the skill and heart, could manage, make 100 women happy at the same time. No, but the key is no one hates each other. We all love each other, right? We all know each other through Mike. We all love him because he's just so kind. He thinks about everybody else, but himself. But he's it's amazing. I had never met one guy had the skill, heart, and earned so much respect for all of us. The second thing is I think he just is so caring, so how he makes time for everybody. I just never thought, how can he manage his life? He's getting master's degree, he has a full-time job, Friday he's here, Thursday he's there, Tuesday he's here, he plays balls and he makes everybody happy. How can he manage his time? And when I had a full-time job, I lost all my friends because I work on weekends. So this is something, Mike, please teach me how to manage my life. Right. So that's the second thing. And another thing I want to share, he has this very special sense of humor. Sometimes you don't get it. It takes you a week to get what he really want to make you laugh. But guess what? We all laugh here for him, and we're all here happy for him. He made this connection. We can all be here today, and we learned from him how to help others, help each other. So from today, I hope we are all brothers and sisters. Yay! Thank you.
Legacy man.
I love
It's going to be a tough act to follow. That was really wonderful, Cindy. I seriously don't know if I can follow that because I didn't prepare. So, I met Mike a couple years ago, maybe it was 2015 or late 2014 or something. I was at a brunch and Debbie, I think that was one of the first times I met him. Debbie's like, hey, Heather, this is Mike. You guys are going to be living across the street from each other. Our neighborhood's literally right there. So I was like, oh, that's so great. And then we went kayaking. And so, of course, we were like, hey, we're going kayaking. Let's drive together. So got to know each other a lot then. And later on, one day, I think Mike and Debbie were playing cards. And that's really when I realized we really do live right across the street from each other. So we ended up becoming really great friends and just hearing everyone talk and thinking about all the times, he came to my parents' house for Rosh Hashanah once and we went kayaking and hiking and just hanging out maybe by the pool or going on walks in the Brookhaven area. And then when his friend Millie came to town and
the three of us would joke. We kind of became like the three amigos sometimes. And we'd go hang out, just the three of us, or we'd go on a walk, and like Mike's sense of humor, he'd always be joking, yeah, this is where I'm gonna stash your guy's body. And we somehow had this running joke about like, oh, right off firewood, this would be a great spot, or this or that, or just, even when I had knee surgery in 2016, I was at my parents' house for a few months, and I was like really determined, to start getting home. But he came over one day. I think my parents dropped me off at the restaurant. We had a great dinner, and then he drove me back to my parents' house in Dunwoody. And when I moved home, I was like, I'm determined to get home. It's been a few months. We went out for Halloween that night, I think, to Kaleidoscope, and I know he loved wearing his little mat, his like pirate or like skull Halloween mask. There's a picture on there on the picture thing of us, and I'm just gonna miss all the times we had in the last few years. It was just really great. I know even the day I found out about Mike, I called my mom and I said, Mom, you're not gonna believe this. And she said to me, I was just thinking about Mike this morning. I wanted to invite him for a shout-out. So, but I know we all love Mike. I know just a few weeks after he passed, I was sitting at the pool, my pool, and I thought, God, I'm gonna really miss Mike. It's a random Sunday evening, and I can't call him up and be like, hey, what are you doing? Do you wanna go grab a drink? Or wanna go get dinner or something? So, but I know he's looking down on us. He would have loved this, and it's so good to meet different people. Even on the way to his memorial in Clarksdale, me and his friend Carolyn had never met. It sounds like we were similar circles, sort of, and we couldn't believe we hadn't actually met over all these years. And more than that is, we went on a 6-hour road trip, not knowing each other, and it was really great. We had great conversation. It really seemed like Mike was bringing his friends together, and I was a little thinking like, this is gonna work out, but I had a great time here on the road trip down to Mississippi for his memorial. So here's to you, Mike.
So Anthony counted 9 women, and so now we have to have the voice. Anthony's going to close us out and represent.
So I could not allow 9 women to say their piece without the male perspective here. Mike would absolutely be proud on that. So, can you hear now? Okay, so Mike would not have allowed that, the word of 9 women and no male perspective. Mike wouldn't have been acceptable, so here I am. So back in 2005, I went to synagogue, the AA synagogue, not Alcoholics Anonymous, but AA synagogue, and called Absolute Shabbat, and I get seated next to Mike. Of course, Debbie puts me next to Mike. And from that moment on, I had adventures I had to write them all down, mingling in Atlanta, and I was looking for Simi, but I think he left. Simi, are you here? Then we went to Georgia Tech line dancing, Toastmasters. I think I even may have met Cindy one time. Halloween parties, Greek evening, Russian picnic, paddling down the river, pool at Mike's, then movie night with Debbie, and many other times when Mike and I spoke privately, one-on-one, about his days at Vonage, going to MBA school. And not a single time ever did Mike share any information about anybody else. He was one of the most private gentlemen that I'd ever met in my entire life. Kiara was a single guy. He was apparently single. And not a single exchange ever was related to his private life or his romantic life. He felt obligated to keep that very private, and a meticulous gentleman. So as I'm arriving here today, I did not know that Mike was going on the trip. We hadn't been in touch for about maybe a year. But as I'm arriving here, I walk in and I see all of the people that who I had seen either at mingling in Atlanta, Simi, Natasha and Yelena, and Eileen, his big sister or little sister, and of course Heather, who I know from another life, for the Rosenheck family, and many other people who hopefully will now be part of this greater family, as you guys have all spoken. But something remarkable happened walking in here, and especially with your story. Tell me your name again. Dipti. See, I did not know this. So I see Simi, and Simi has now, I think he had to leave. And Simi says to me, guess what? You missed a great event a few nights ago. I had 200 people at my event. And I'm saying, Simi, what event? He said, I started mingling in Atlanta. I restarted mingling in Atlanta. And I said, you did? He said, you know, that was what Mike started. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. Wow. And I said, what do you mean? And in that moment I said, okay, I have to speak. Not knowing I was going to be, there'll be 9 women ahead of me. And so basically what this is, that Simi had an event 2 nights ago with 200 people called Mingling in Atlanta, which is the organization or the group that Mike founded. Yes. Okay, and that is the testament to the character and the personality of Mike. His mission and his love was weaving us all together. And so I think, and I'm in the textile business by chance, so I know a little bit about weaving. And that's what Mike has done. He has woven this community together in ways that will have touched all of our lives clearly. And I think the most extraordinary thing that we can do to honor Mike is to continue in any way you can to support the things that he loved to do. And so in a way of me saying to you, I really think you should meet Simi. I think you should participate in Mingling in Atlanta, and Mike's legacy will continue. And in all the things that he was passionate about, you guys should make these little points of contact, these special interests, so every time you connect, you realize that you're giving back the way Mike gave to all of us.
Yes.
Hey, can Debbie and Cindy and Kate and everybody who was involved in putting this on come on up here? We'll just say Rachel. So we just want to say thanks again, and you guys might have something else to say, for being here today. I mean, we're not thanking on our behalf. We're thanking, it's all of us, right? We needed this. And Jewish tradition is that a year from the day of burial, you put up a headstone, right? So the parents have not put up a headstone in Clarksdale just yet. They will next August, I guess. And we're talking about doing August 16. We're talking about, and the Himelsteins are really into this, doing a night in his memory at Ground Zero Blues Club in Clarksdale, and maybe doing proceeds towards a local charity there in Clarksdale. So if you've ever wanted to go to the birthplace of the blues, it's an amazing town. And we'll keep you guys informed, and as Anthony said, maybe that'll be a reason for all of us to continue to stay in touch and see each other again. We love you. God bless you. Thanks for being here.